Hello, guys, and welcome to the Outlier Podcast. Real quickly, before we get into the video and to the topics, I just wanted to give you guys a quick little breakdown of what this is. This is just a podcast with me and my best friend where we're going to be talking about everything and anything that we want. There's no limits, there's no necessarily no direction and no anything, no rules basically. Um Real quickly, a little bit about myself. I don't know if I said this already. My name is Saul. I'm 23 years old. First ever podcast. First ever like serious YouTube venture, I guess you could say. It's mostly for fun, but so yeah. I mean, I hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let me introduce my co-host, also known as Roger or AWOL. Say what's up, bro.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Outlier Podcast, where we are going to defy limitations and we are going to discuss things that typically people would be too scared to talk about. More uh, into like the fears and the truism of humanity is what I like to say, and that's why I'm so driven to be on the Outlier Podcast, just as a co-host. The mastermind will obviously be Saul, who just introduced us, but he has invited me on, and I'm stoked for it because me more than anybody, I know who Saul is, and I know how outspoken he can be about certain topics without the fear of it. And
Yeah.
what better to do it than to document it on the internet? And so I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here, guys.
So real quickly, if you guys don't know who he has his own podcast. It's called the Common Podcast. I highly recommend it. It's more of an intellectual podcast, in my opinion. You probably don't see it that way, but that's how I see it. It's like um, very like high level topics, I guess you could say. Which this one is like it can be that there's no limits, like I explained. But I hope to make it very lighthearted. Like I want to talk about crazy stories, like mistakes, like just funny stuff. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so one of
Yep.
the first things I wanted to talk about is why I started a podcast and the motivation and timing behind it. So why I started a podcast. If I'm being honest, it has a huge part to do with AWOL or Roger, as you guys know him. Because he started his own, and me and him, we've known each other for about 10 years, and this is not the first time we've attempted to make content. We've tried to stream, we've tried to make Call of Duty videos, like he's made vlogs. I haven't made vlogs, but there's been fitness videos, like you name it. Like there's been tons and tons of attempts at content. And if I'm being honest, none of them really spoke out to me or called my name like a podcast. Because I feel like a podcast can hold so much value, um, as opposed to just like a silly video that you just make super quick. Like this to me is much more valuable and much more, not only to me but to the viewer. Like I enjoy this. This is something I like, and I feel like
Yeah.
the user will as well,
And yeah, not
or
only
the
that, it's
viewer.
kind of timeless, right? Conversations have been happening since the beginning of time. Call of Duty video, people aren't gonna look up how to in Call of Duty in
Yeah,
20
yeah, yeah.
years, or Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. This is something that we're gonna be discussing things and topics that people have encountered since the beginning of time. So these things will not go stale. And yeah, it's especially I think also because we've matured, right? We've kind of matured out of we still enjoy playing video games, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We're not as serious on it, than how we were.
Yeah.
But this is something that we typically enjoy. And if we can really think back, it doesn't matter what we do and what we've done in the past. The only reason that we've held this friendship for over 10 years, over a decade, is through the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that we do every day, which is conversate. We don't play video games every day like we used to.
Hmm.
But another motivation for me for starting this podcast was, so he's obviously my best friend, my loved one, right? I have another person that I was really close to and still am really close to that I'm not gonna lie, man. They got a little bit intoxicated, and the truth came out about what they really uh think about me, right? And this was a conversation that I was very mad at first and very upset. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, this person's telling me the truth. And so basically what that conversation consisted of was, hey, you're this really, and like, to them, I'm an intelligent person that has lots of goals and aspirations, but yet I don't chase them, or I don't put any action behind it, you know? And at first I was very upset, like, well, like, basically they're telling me like I don't do shit with my life. Like, that's how I took it. Like, you're saying I'm a nobody, I don't do anything, like I'm just a normal regular ass person with no dreams, no goals, nothing, right? So I was very offended by this. But when I sat back and thought about it, I was like, well, they're right. I'm not doing anything right now. I'm not chasing my dreams, my goals. I talk about them, but I don't do them, you know? And that's one thing that, like, I will forever be thankful to that person for that, because they had the balls to tell me, like, dude, your potential's being wasted. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you're not doing anything. And so
Yeah.
that's why I'm here right now filming
Well,
this.
yeah. A couple of things on that. Well, one, he really did have the balls. He had to wait till he was intoxicated, right? But
Yeah.
no. But also another thing is, well, that's why it's very important for you to speak out your dreams and goals to people. You see, the true thing behind what happened is that it's actually good because this person sees you more than what you're doing right now. This person knows that you're capable of far more than what you're actually accomplishing right now. Because in reality, you're not a deadbeat. You're not someone who's in and out of jail. You're not addicted to anything that's going to like seriously harm you, like gambling or drugs or anything like that. You're a pretty well put together person. This person has realized that and says, you know what, bro, you're doing okay, but you're
There's
not
more.
filling the shoes. Yeah, you're not filling the shoes that you're capable of filling.
Yeah.
And yeah, so those are two things that I noticed is that this person acknowledged that about you, and then that's very important to speak out your dreams and goals because eventually there's gonna be a time where somebody's gonna come along and call you out on your
Yeah,
BS.
yeah,
And
I agree with that. That's very important, because you need people that are gonna hold you accountable to be like, hey, like, you keep saying this, but you're not doing it, or you want this, but you're not doing this. Like, you need to have people like that in your life. And I was upset. Like I said, I was upset at first, but man, great wake up call for me. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on was the timing. I like, if you're a procrastinator like me, you will find every and any excuse to not do it. And for me, it was always the timing. Oh, like, oh, I don't have this. Like, it's not the right time. Like, I'm super busy with work. Whatever it may be. Like, it was always, oh, it's not the right time. That was always my excuse. And everyone that's successful will tell you that it's never the right time. You'll never find the right time. If you're waiting for the right time, it's gonna it's gonna pass you by. You'll never ever do anything if you're gonna wait for the right time. So
yeah,
there's that.
your, your dreams and goals will eventually die with you in your grave.
Yeah.
If you keep waiting for the perfect time. Um, but yeah, that's part of who you are too, because you're a perfectionist, right? And so
Yeah.
Someone who's a perfectionist often does this. They procrastinate or they wait for that perfect time, which eventually never comes along. And the fear is that in reality you're gonna suck at it, right?
Yeah.
And nobody likes to suck at something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what sucks even worse? Playing it safe, sticking to what you're okay at, right? And not seeing what you can fully be capable of. And the grass is greener. Well, not always, right? But the grass could be greener
Yeah.
on the other side. But what's worse of not finding out if that grass is greener or not is, not even taking that chance.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
Like you,
worst
you don't
thing.
ever want to be complacent. Like there's a lot of people that I work with every day that are just like, yeah, this is my life. They're much older than me, and I'm like, not that there's anything wrong with like being comfortable with where you're at, but that's just not who I want to be. I don't want to be that guy that's comfortable where he's at because that's very dangerous in my opinion. Be content or to like be okay with staying there. Like I don't ever want to be that person. And so here I am being out of my comfort zone, making this podcast which I am completely out of my element. Like this is uncomfortable to me, but it's got to be done and I've been wanting to do it. So, and now's the perfect time even though there is no perfect time. But
Yeah.
with that being said, the next thing I want to talk about is I don't know if I should say the name. Um,
Whatever.
what do
Up
you
to you.
think?
I mean, you can just talk about body positivity in general. You
Okay,
can call
yeah.
this
So
person out. It's
there,
up to
there's
you.
um, there's a little bit of conflict between me and you. I think have the same opinion on this, but basically, there's this like body positive movement, where like you should love yourself, you should be okay with yourself. It doesn't matter how much you weigh or how you look or this and that. But again, I think that ties into the last subject, which is complacency and being okay with where you're at. So, and there's this particular individual that's actually really popular on Instagram. Has how many followers? Like a million or something?
You can check while you're talking.
Yeah, she has a shit ton of followers, right? And the only reason I know of this girl is because of Roger. He told me about her. And this is a girl that's her whole thing is I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to change my life. Follow me and cheer me along. Watch me through this journey, you know? And so when did she start her quote unquote journey? Fitness journey.
Maybe 6 years ago.
6 years ago, right? So
She has
and
500,000
and this is
followers.
not to like talk down on her or anything, but she's she started 6 years ago trying to, lose weight, right? Not only did she not do that, but if anything, she gained weight. Like again, I don't want to be like mean or anything. Like my point behind this is being like I don't know. People that kind of sell you this idea of like I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna motivate you guys. This is what I'm gonna do, and then don't do it. I just don't like that, you know. Um, I don't know how you feel on that.
Yeah, practically and fundamentally, it's terrible. It's like it's teaching people first and foremost not to be productive, to be very complacent, like you said in the beginning. She's obviously letting people know that it's okay to be comfortable in your skin, regardless of how you look. Right? This person, she may be close to 300 pounds.
No, she's
And
for sure 300
okay,
pounds.
she's over 300 pounds, right? And she's spreading this message of fitness and wellness, which is obviously out of her element, right?
It's
Obviously.
a good
Uh,
message. It's a good message, but it's just that um you can't you can't preach it and then not practice it. That's my biggest thing with it.
yeah. Yeah, but like I said, she's it's bad fundamentally too because she's saying that she's gonna do something and then she does it. And so when that becomes popular, That's not. For instance, you would not want someone you're responsible for to follow that method. For instance, if we have any parents that are listening to this podcast, would you want your children to be influenced by something like that? You would not. Let's say you had a very close friend or maybe a significant other. Would you want them campaigning for somebody like that? Obviously not. That's bad practice. This is not something you want around you, influencing you. You want someone who's gonna say that they're gonna do something and accomplish it. Right? That's good practice, and that's someone you want around. Uh, and I know that sounds so simple. Like I say that I'm gonna do something and accomplish it, but it's a lot harder to come by than what it is. And we talk about it a lot through fitness and diet or nutrition restrictions and stuff like that. Just the self discipline. It's a very difficult to come by nowadays with all these different distractions and stuff that we have. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are
So
the type of people we want.
another thing is I want, if you're that type of person that supports someone and is like body positive and is like, oh, you look beautiful the way you are, like even if that person is obviously obese, that's that's fine, but be very careful because you're feeding that person this idea that it's okay to be obese. You know, it's okay to be unhealthy. You know, like that's very dangerous because you like all these people that follow her, they support her and constantly give her the, you know, the stamp of approval that she's perfect the way she is, which like I mean, it's not horrible, but you do want to promote like, hey, like it's okay to be who you are, but you just know it's not healthy and you should probably lose some damn weight, you know? And
Yeah.
especially if that's your whole thing. My whole page is about losing weight, but I'm gaining weight. Like
Yeah.
you
I would I
shouldn't.
would I would just disagree on the part that like it's okay to kind of sugarcoat it. I don't believe so. We talked about truism and the pot. So we recently recorded a podcast, actually right before this podcast for my, and I also had a podcast of body positivity. And I talk about how it's very important to not sugarcoat these things to these people because they've been sugarcoated things their whole life, and that's the reason why they found a way to slither their way out of moral responsibility. In this case, obesity, right? And it's you're killing that person in simple words by you just saying that it's okay to be you. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. You're not doing too bad. It's like no, come on. This person, even though she's posting that she's happy, even though that she's being very positive, I guarantee you, if she was naked in front of the mirror, she would not feel
Yeah.
confident about herself. Um, she probably does a lot of things to try to alleviate the depression and the discomfort that she feels. There's probably a lot of underlining very serious problems. Maybe her joints hurt or whatnot. And so, what would be a very good service? Now, I wouldn't recommend someone who doesn't know this person. Like for me to go on social media and be like, "Hey, you're pathetic," like this is that. Okay, that's just rude, right?
Yeah.
But somebody does need to step in this person's inner circle, and I don't mean to call this person out. We're not calling her out by name, but and that goes for anybody. Like I would not support it from a distance either. And if somebody like that was close to me, I would definitely address it.
Yes. Um yeah, you definitely do not want to support that and condone that. You're condoning the fact that she's not healthy, you know. That's not a good thing. You shouldn't condone that. I think that's pretty obvious, but people don't see it like that, you know. They see it as like, "Oh, it's okay," but I don't I don't I don't see how.
I'm trying to get this person on my podcast, by the way.
Yeah, I
I
wanna
really hope.
I want you to tell her like what's like, you know, I think the reason why she doesn't lose weight is because of all the people that are telling her it's okay, right?
Yeah,
Because if she
you
didn't
just
have that, if no one was telling her it's okay, she would probably be in her head all damn day, like it's like feeling like shit, you know.
yeah,
But she
yeah.
gets such a like she fucking makes a living off this shit now, you know? Like she gets everything she wants from being overweight. She has nothing to gain from losing it. She gets all the attention, all the money, the big following. Like she has it all. Being overweight, why would she lose it? You know?
Yeah.
Like look at all the people that got upset with Adele for losing weight. You know, she lost a lot of fans because now she's a healthy woman. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous, right? But a lot of people are upset. Like, oh, you betrayed us. You're one of them now. You're healthy. You know, like I don't get that. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that toxic body positivity movement, bro. It's really weird. And on Twitter, I know you're not on Twitter a lot, but I talk a lot about my podcast that I've been on Twitter a lot recently. And it's crazy, bro. Like I read things and I'm like, there's no way this person's serious, right? Like they actually think that? Like that's what they I don't even think that they're gonna put that on the web. Like that's what kill you, man. Like
yeah. All right. Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the UFC and your opinion on it, my opinion on it. Obviously, we're both fans, right?
yeah, yeah.
But I've come to the realization that it's insane that we have a modern day um what is that shit called? We
Um
have modern day gladiators basically. You know,
yeah.
that's insane. Like we literally as people hate violence, you know, don't condone violence, but the second it's a show, it's a performance, it's fine, you know, that's crazy. You know, like back in the day they would throw people in there with like fucking lions and shit and like
Yeah. Mhm.
a spear and that's it. And people would cheer like, you know, fucking amazed. Like pay I don't know if they paid or what, but fucking seats, arena, like and that was a show and it was like accepted. And now the new thing is the UFC,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
I'm guilty of. Like I love that shit, you know? I see it more as a sport now than I ever did. Back then it was more of a like a savage thing to me. But now that I kind of understand the complexities, like it's kind of like playing chess with your body against someone else. You know, that's how I see it. Is like, okay, this person brings this to the table and this person brings this to the table. You know? So
Yep.
that's why I like it.
Yeah, for sure. It's very primal. Like you said, if you think back in time, like the Colosseum days, just get chunked in there, right? With
Yeah.
animals or even against each other, like 1v10, and people would go crazy about it. And what we're kind of seeing is the modern day Colosseum days back in Rome and stuff like that. Now, the big difference is now it's voluntary, right? So we call it a sport. And I mean, if they're doing it willingly, I really don't see any problem with it. It just blows my mind though that we get to experience that. Like, wow, like that's insane because anybody it takes in the worst way the perfect hit and you can kill somebody.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're watching that, we're paying for it, and we're excited. And some of us get anxious. When I watch fighting, I get so anxious. I can't
Yeah,
sit
I think
down.
I think that's why I'm addicted to it is like the level of like pressure and what's on the line and anxiety. Like, am I gonna see a fucking another leg break or am I gonna see someone like it's crazy, man. I think that's what I'm addicted to. Um, whenever I watch fights.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely cool to see. Don't get me wrong, and everything, and it's cool to see also the fact that there's like these great fighters, right? That you think that they're the best of all time, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
someone comes along and dethrones them, and then they're
Beats their
nothing.
ass. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what we often see right after that is that they start to tumble, right? It's like a snowball effect, and they just because a lot of what people don't see is that it's also a huge mental game too, right? It's not just physical.
Yeah.
The whole morale of somebody is dependent on winning, and once they lose, it's like they're not the person that they thought that they
Yeah,
were,
like Ronda
right?
Rousey is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, for sure.
She
Their
was
whole
on top
demeanor.
of the world until she got tested, and then next thing you
Yeah,
know, she's losing every fight.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It really makes makes them question everything they ever knew, right? And so they go back to the chalkboard instead of you know ironing out a couple things. They change the whole thing and panic, and then they're kind of scared to get hit again, right?
yeah.
I don't blame them. I mean, I when I was a kid, I got kicked by a horse on
Oh
which year?
shit. I think you
Yeah, I
told me
got
that.
kicked
I
by.
don't remember
Yeah,
though.
I got kicked by a horse right here, right? And you would think I'd be scared to get around horses, right? I'm not now anymore, but there was like a good decade where I was like, nah, hell no, I ain't going around that horse. Like, knocked me out, clean out. I could have died. I could have been.
Oh
Doctor said
yeah.
if it was a little bit closer to my temple, I would have
Brain
been blind.
damage.
Yeah, all that. But it just knocked me out, clean out. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in the living room, my ears hanging off, and I'm bleeding. And they rushed me to the hospital, stitch it back together.
Damn.
And, and I made a full recovery. I mean, at least I hope so. I think I'm okay.
Probably got a little bit of brain damage.
A little bit.
The last
Maybe
thing I
knocked me
wanted to touch
straight.
on real quickly because my headset is dying is gaming and what it means to us. Gaming is, I think, the beginning of of my dreams. Like that's where I discovered my dreams, if that makes sense. Because I didn't know where or what I wanted to do until I started playing video games and I started watching all these other people play video games. And I was like, damn, that's what I want to do. To this day, I still kind of want to do that, but it's more so the thought of being financially dependent on myself rather than a company. Does that make sense? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's my dream now. It kind of evolved into that over the years. Um, but if you guys didn't know, A1 and I met on video games, Call of Duty, about 10 years ago. Probably even more now, right? And
A little over a decade.
for me, video games like changed my life forever. It was my escape. It was my therapy. It was my safe place. It was my place for the bros. Like everything, Like some people had, I don't know, sports, right? I didn't have sports. I had video games. So I think video games are one of the like most underrated things in terms of like the good it could do for you. You know. Um.
Yeah, there's certainly some bad too, right?
Oh yeah,
Being
yeah.
antisocial and stuff like that. But for me, just like you, I found my identity through gaming, and I believe that it's a huge staple in my life now. It played a huge role in my character building. Um, for me, in the very beginning, it was an escape route because I believe, and I said this on my podcast earlier, is that I believe I was a very troubled child, and I'm not saying that as in I got in trouble a lot. I said that I mean that in I had a lot of resentment in myself, and I wanted to escape, and I had a lot of anger towards my family and my parents and everything, and so to in order to escape the real world, I would venture into you know, this alternative reality of a video game where I can become my own person and hide behind a screen and talk to people and relate to people and get good at something, right? And that's what I did, and I focused on that, and it made me feel good. It gave me that serotonin that I desired, and it did for a very very long time. And I got a best friend out of it, right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
And I did meet a lot of other people, and through it I built some type of social skills. And maybe in the beginning I hid my identity. I kind of tried to portray a more masculine person, but I came to terms with myself, and I feel like it helped me grow as a person.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just just to kind of sum up what you and I kind of like are made up of, it's video games. We both are into fitness,
Yeah.
and what would the third be? There's a third.
I would just say an intellect. I mean, we're both
Yeah,
like,
we both are very good at communicating without getting emotional, even though we do sometimes. Like we disagree all the time, and we pretend to get emotional, but we really aren't upset. We just go back and forth for fun, and it's honestly, it's like sparring with your head, because it's like two different minds going at it, and we just we constantly do that, and that's one of the things I enjoy about being able to do with him, because you can't do that with many people. A lot of people will shut down and get offended or whatever it may be, but
you
that's
called me
like,
out. You called me out about that on my podcast about how in the beginning when we first met, I was unable to do that. Right? You talked about how I was just very sensitive and I couldn't handle conversations like that.
oh yeah, and that's another thing, is that you and I kind of grew together, if that makes sense. Like if
Yeah.
we look back at when we met 10 years ago versus now, we're like completely different, I think, and in a good way.
You're still conniving though. You're too smart for your own good back then. You would trick kids and make fun of people and turn them on themselves and shit like that. You
Oh,
still do that.
I still do that. Yeah, I'm a person that enjoys pushing buttons, and if I know like something bothers you, I'm gonna say it because I know it bothers you. Does that make sense? Like I'm that type of person, but I'm learning to control that, because it's a lot of people think that's annoying, and it kind of is, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I think it might come with the maturity too. I think you realize like, damn, um, eventually you're gonna put yourself out there, right? Especially on this podcast, and you're just feeding people ammo for them to come back at you.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this very short podcast. It was only about 32 minutes so far. Um, this is just a little taste of the topics we're gonna be talking about. A lot of fitness, a lot of UFC, a lot of gaming, and I think we're gonna talk about the podcast world a lot, because we're both into podcasts and stuff like that. Um, so those are some things that we are interested in. I do plan on having very um I guess humiliating conversations. I want to talk about personal life stories, and I want him to talk about his Lion King experience, if he's comfortable with that. You guys will get that someday. You guys will get that reference someday if he decides to share that.
No,
But
yeah, for sure.
what was that?
No, I'm down, bro.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I feel like nowadays people are too embarrassed to share their life stories,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like if you share it, if you're the one that puts it out there, you're the one that has power over it. And so
Hmm.
I think it's important to like not be humiliated by simple experiences.
That was
And so
beautiful, bro.
yeah, with that being said, if you guys enjoy this podcast, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you think of if there's anything we could do to improve, or anything at all helps. Again, he has his own solo podcast where he does have guests from time to time. It's called The Common Podcast. It's going to be linked in the description. And for as far as this podcast goes, you can expect it at least once a week. That's what I'm shooting for, and that's what I'm holding myself to. So if I don't do that, you guys could call me out on that and let me know. But that's my plans for that. Anything else you want to add?
Hi,
No.
guys.
All right. Well,
Just
thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.